what I wrote in my journal was I wrote, like, it was May 20th, 2014, and I wrote, it's so good. We're going to Nashville to break up. We both agree on it. We're on the same page. That's what I'm going into this, literally, because, we both just felt, and I particularly felt, like the chasm was too wide. There's no way that this relationship is going to work. So let's cut it before it gets too far down the road.
It's better with us two. We're better together.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast, the podcast that's all about bridge building in every area of life. My name is Brydon Brett.
My name is Mina Brett.
Oh, Silky. And we are your co-hosts of this.
Wait, what was I just looking at?
What are you? Where were you?
I looked at that camera. It's not even pointed at me.
That's funny.
We're off to a great start.
That's a great start. I love that. That's great. No, we're keeping that. Like we're just going.
I was like, my name is Mina Brett.
That is funny.
In the wrong camera.
Oh my gosh. All right, so like first things first, it's very important that we draw attention to your hat. Babe, you look good in a hat.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say something about this hat.
Of course.
Mostly
it's my
because
hat.
it's your hat. But listen, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. So isn't that what they say? You've never heard women say that?
Women?
I've heard women say that before. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What's his is mine and what's mine is mine.
That's cool. This is great.
Oh, anyway. Actually,
mm-hmm.
I felt extra like welcome to it because my sister gave it to you. So I was
right, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I'll just take it.
Yeah, it's great. No, marriage is awesome. Also, I don't know if you noticed anything different about me from previous episodes.
Oh yeah, you've got a beard.
That's right, baby.
And
can you see it, everybody?
Fresh cut.
A fresh cut.
Looking all scrumptious over there.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about haircuts. All right. Let's talk about.
We talking about haircut? Okay.
We're talking about haircuts for 1 second.
Okay.
Before we jump into our topic.
Yes.
So we just moved to Utah.
Yeah.
And haircuts are expensive. They are expensive, especially when you're trying to look like real fresh. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if y'all have seen like the videos going around on Instagram or TikTok, like the black wife effect.
I knew you were gonna say something.
For sure, and we need to do that, like the before after. Like
you want to do your black wife effect? I feel like you was swaggy.
Yeah,
but it was just a different kind of swag.
Yeah. Different kind of swag.
Especially
Definitely.
When it came to your haircuts.
Right.
I feel like your haircuts have absolutely upgraded since I started telling you what to do.
For sure. Well, ever since I got my first New York fade, I was like, okay, that's a wrap,
Yeah,
like,
you've been trying to replicate it ever since.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to do when you're not in New York.
Right, yeah. So I'm not willing to pay $45, $50 for a haircut. So what have I been doing? Getting on the app and going to Great Clips. And so far, not bad.
The girl who's been doing your haircut at Great Clips, she's been doing a great job.
Yeah, shout out Charlie. She's doing good.
She's doing great. You know, you give her a picture and she makes it happen.
Word life.
She got the edge on the side. Yeah, I like the way it looks.
Thanks, babe. Okay. Well, we got the hat, we got the beard.
Black wife effect and full effect.
What was that cringy?
I don't know. This is gonna be an interesting episode.
Yeah, I can tell. All right, another thing before we jump into our topic, we need to let everybody know that childcare is also expensive and very difficult to come by.
Yeah, but this partially because we're picky and we don't want to leave him with just anybody.
Of course.
Plus, he won't stay with just anybody.
Yes.
So there's that.
So if you hear a crunch in the background,
which just happened, I don't know if you guys
I don't know if you hear that. That's our 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old Daven chewing on chips. And if he
Yes.
makes noise, if he comes in the screen, sits on our lap, we're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna roll with it.
I mean, this
All
is
right?
what we used to do for the OGs who are here with us
For
when we
the
were doing
OGs.
our other videos. This is gonna be so interesting. When we were doing our other videos, our talking head videos, he would just be there sometimes,
Mhm.
he'd be sleeping, he'd be, I'd be holding
Yeah.
him, whatever the case. I think I used to nurse him just like
On
sometimes.
screen?
Yes.
What?
When we did lives, I
Okay,
would.
on lives maybe. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's wild.
Anyway.
The hat looks great though, babe. I just like
You like it?
Yeah, more and more I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
More and more?
More and more.
Did you not before and you had it had to
Shut up,
grow on you?
No, we're good. Anyway. All right, let's get into it. All right, so episode 1 of the Bretter Together podcast, we talked about how we met, soulmates, divine timing, all of that. And so now we're going to return to the storyline. We're jumping ahead in the timeline. So if you haven't watched episode 1, you probably should watch that. Listen to that on your platform of choice. And
Pluggity plug.
Pluggity plug. And just kind of catch up on the story. We'll give you a little Reader's Digest. Mina's from New York. I'm from Branson, Missouri. We met in Germany on Christmas Day, 2013. All right, so we exchanged numbers. That whole thing. That's
We
a fun.
probably need to have an episode about the lead up to the first date.
Oh,
I don't know what
yeah.
we would call it, but
Yeah, just to share like the text messages, because I was super clever. I was super like, I was very what's the word?
charming.
Charming.
That's your favorite word. To
Yeah, I
use.
was charming.
You were
Charming.
charming.
I was charming.
Like the lollipop.
Yes, I was charming, and I had some funny ones, and I got all the texts. I still saved all those in PDF, so that's exciting.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right, so we met, exchanged numbers, which was against your MO.
Yeah, not really something I did.
Right. Scheduled a phone call. Our first phone call after you got back in the States or whatever, and hey, Papa. All right, so you scheduled the first phone call, and we did the call. I called you, and you were busy.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
okay, can we talk
okay.
about this for a second? I feel like this is the best time to talk about it.
Why is it the best time to talk about it?
Yes, because we're here and we have an audience
All right, so
who are moderators.
there are moderators. Okay, I just did diction exercises and clearly they did not work.
It's okay.
So I don't even remember what I was doing, but I
Mhm.
do remember I thought it was odd that you decided to schedule
To
the
schedule?
phone call.
Why is that odd?
I don't know. And nobody had ever done that to me. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that was interested in it wasn't like, oh, can I get on your calendar? Like nobody ever asked to schedule anything with me
okay,
except
yeah.
for maybe a date. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it wasn't like, oh, and even then it wasn't like a calendar thing. Like you were very like, hey, can I call you at this time for this amount of time? And I was like, I guess. I mean, what kind of person schedules a phone call? Why don't you just call me? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't know at the time how big of a deal that was. Like how important that made me in your world
Okay,
and
cool,
in your
cool.
sphere.
I thought you were gonna say how big of a deal I was. No?
Well, yes, that too. Because you had to schedule like every minute of
Obviously.
your day. And for
Mhm.
you to say, can I put you in this slot of this amount of time? I'm not going to be doing nothing else but talking to you. Like knowing who you are now, knowing, having known you for
Right.
over 10 years, it's like, oh, like you were showing me through your actions how important it was
Yeah.
for you to talk to me. And I didn't understand that.
Uh-huh.
I was confused as to why you had to schedule it in the first place. And then I was like, you know what? Sure, And then when something else came up, it wasn't like, oh, well, I'm snubbing him. That's not how I felt. But I can understand how you felt after knowing you. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't feel snubbed. I was just confused
So you,
because you were trying to talk to me and then you would talk to 2 other people, and I couldn't tell if you were still talking to me or not. I was not used to that. So that's what I want to bring up, because that's like, is that okay? Can I just like say it?
Yeah,
Like,
I
is
know
that a
what you're
family
gonna say.
thing, or is that like a cultural thing? Because I've kind of noticed it as a pattern culturally, but also like in the family, right? Like,
Yeah,
and
I don't
for me,
know.
like that's, like that's why I don't even like doing phone calls, because I have to like completely focus,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying not to do
think
stuff,
it's probably a little bit of both.
'Kay.
Because our family has always done that. My father doesn't like phone calls either.
Right.
Probably for that reason.
Yeah.
Because when he's on the phone with me, he focuses on me, and that's it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like my mother,
Your mother.
my mother will call me. Hey, Ma, I know you're gonna watch this as soon as it drops. She will call me and be like cooking dinner and like, talking to other people. She'll call me and be watching her show.
Yeah.
What? And for her, because we're so far away from each other, for her it's like we spend the time together. So we don't necessarily need to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, it's because I do it with Traven too. And friend. I do it with Jaffe. I do it with Ashley. Like, it's partially a cultural thing, and they don't bat an eye. Like, but it also is a very familial thing. You don't do that with people you're not close to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's kind of a combination of both. Like, if it feels like family or it is your family, a lot of times,
fair.
It's like having them in the room with you. You don't necessarily need to be talking to them, or there's other people in the room and you include them in the conversation. Because it's like that, because it is cultural, so many people are used to it, when somebody's talking to you and when they're not.
Right.
And if you don't, you just ask.
Okay. All right. So you're saying like this is where I'm confused, because we hadn't even talked yet, really. And you said I felt like family.
Well, yeah, I was
really?
Comfortable with you.
You were comfortable
I was
with
comfortable
me?
enough with you that I was confused as to why you didn't call me and just call me instead of like scheduling it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, because we had enough rapport text-wise that for me, I would have just picked up the phone and called you.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't have been like,
that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have scheduled it. So
yeah, just okay.
I just felt, I guess we've already talked about this, about the Holy Ghost extra strength lotion and everything. Like, you just assumed a position in my heart and in my life that I didn't really expect you to take without really permission. You just kind of did it. And I was like, oh, snap. How'd you get in here? So
okay.
It's kind of
the Holy Ghost extra strength lotion.
He wants to make a shirt out of that, y'all.
Well, there's one person in the comments
Get
said
your brother.
they said they liked that, and I said t-shirt. Obviously, one person. All right. Okay. So anyway, first call didn't go great. So I said, I can't even remember. I said, like, let's reschedule or whatever. So we did schedule, and then had an 8-hour FaceTime. Okay. So then
the first FaceTime call was 8 hours long,
which is wild for me, because
it didn't feel like it was 8 hours.
No, me neither. No, it didn't. I mean, but that's the thing though. I'm very time conscious.
Yeah.
As you know. So it goes back to my basketball days where I would like put a timer on and do all my drills, right? So I'm just always conscious of the clock. So for me to lose track of the clock is very rare. So yeah, it did not feel like 8 hours. It's like that was amazing, but I knew it was 8 hours, like, 'cause I'm always like watching.
Obviously I knew it was 8 hours too.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. This is going well.
Like, I didn't look at the clock. It's just, time flies when you're having fun and all that.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my
all
gosh,
right.
can we just?
Okay. All right. So we FaceTimed, and then we did multiple FaceTimes, and so this is in February of 2014, and so we just kept on doing that. Anyway, so this brings you up to May of 2014. And we decided that we needed to meet up in person. We didn't want to meet in New York. I wasn't ready to meet her family. Didn't want to bring her to Missouri because didn't want whatever. It just didn't feel like it was right.
Met your family,
yeah, and it just didn't make sense. And
we didn't want. I mean, we love you guys, but we didn't want them influencing anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we
totally
just wanted to see what our chemistry was like aside from everything else.
Yes. So we decided to meet up in Nashville. So I flew you to Nashville. I paid for the hotel, separate rooms, just so
got
everybody's
me a
straight.
suite. He
Yeah.
got a regular room. He got me a suite.
Yeah.
He got his room right next to mine so that I would feel safe. That I wouldn't be by myself. But yeah,
Okay.
that was like major to me.
Yes. Yeah.
That you didn't like book one room and be like, oh, we could sleep, it's 2 beds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, that wouldn't even been a thought.
No.
Yeah.
The fact that you did that you thought I was worth that was like, yeah. If I had to pick one word for just our entire like first date experience, there's so many of them, but the one that kept coming to mind when I was prepping for this episode was impressed.
Okay.
I was impressed by you as an individual, impressed by the fact that you made all the accommodations, all the reservations, everything. You bought my flight. You picked me up from the airport. You made the reservations for the hotel, like everything. I didn't have to do anything except show up.
Yep. And show up you did.
Did.
In a yellow maxi dress that you still have.
To this day, that is his favorite dress.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to get rid of it.
Yeah, it was great. It still is great. I don't know. There's just I love that dress. And you had your hair straight. It's great. Okay, but here's the thing. We were not on the same page.
We were
at
not.
all, apparently. Okay, so here's my
Wait, why do you say we weren't on the same page?
We were not on the same page going into this date.
Oh yeah, you're right. We were.
You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't. So here's I didn't copy it. But what I wrote in my journal was I wrote like it was May 20th, 2014, and I wrote it's so good. We're going to Nashville to break up. We both agree on it. We're on the same page. That's what I'm going into this, literally, because we both just felt, and I particularly felt like the chasm was too wide. There's no way that this relationship is going to work, so let's cut it before it gets too far down the road. But I couldn't end the relationship. There's something too real for me to end the relationship before we actually had a chance to be together. So, and I would never break up, and we weren't even like dating, but I would never break up with somebody over the phone. Anyway, so part of me was, because I've done that. Like I drove 17 hours to break up with someone before.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so
only 7 hours for this one.
Yeah, only 7 hours. So I'm driving to Nashville, and that's my mentality. Like, this is it. This is our first and last hurrah.
Wow.
And we're gonna go just to have a great time. But this is it.
So our first date, in your mind, was almost our last.
No, it was our last. The first date was our last date. That was the whole idea. Yeah. And we were on the same page.
We were apparently not. I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. You are a better record keeper than I am, or I was, especially at that time.
Okay. I
am a better record keeper now, but it's because of you. Like you influenced me to keep records of things that happen.
Okay.
Like you call it personal scripture. Like when you keep track of the Lord's fingerprints in your life, when you keep track of the amazing things that happen, it's easier to go back and like actually remember what happened, because a lot of times we think we'll remember and our memory fades over time.
Yeah.
And so at that time I was definitely not the record keeper that I am now. Not that I'm that much better, but I at least keep notes. I was not like the, hey, this was my day today journal.
No. Neither am I.
I've never been that type of person. Yeah. And so I don't, in my recollection, my current recollection, I don't remember thinking it. I don't remember being like, oh, this is going to be our last date. Well, let me just prepare myself for it. I wasn't thinking it. I was like,
wild.
I wasn't thinking it.
I mean, obviously that was my impression from our conversations, that we were kind of ramping up to that. Because I literally said, the Lord is good. Like, We're on the
we're
same
on
page.
the same page.
We're going to
So maybe
Nashville
I
to
said
break up.
something that was like,
Yeah.
I'm on the same page with you. And honestly, mentally, up until a certain point, I wasn't even taking our interaction or relationship as seriously as I could have. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop because I knew about our differences. I was like, well, it's only a matter of time type of thing. And then when we decided to meet up in person, it was like, okay, I wonder what this is going to be,
Yeah.
I was half expecting it to just fizzle out. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to see each other and be like, this was nice, kind of thing. So maybe we were more on the same page than I remember. Maybe I remember like, unicorns and rainbows and candy corns and all the things. Candy corns is crazy. Cotton candy clouds and, maybe maybe I remember all of that stuff because of how good it turned out,
Yeah, okay.
Maybe my memory is influenced by that.
That could very well be.
However, I don't remember.
Okay. All right. But we were going to Nashville, in my mind, to break up. And we might not have been on the same page with that, but that was definitely the mentality. And so what happened becomes that much more surprising because we were, at least I was going to break up. And then, yeah, you gotta have just to listen to the end here because at the end of this story, like it's kind of a miracle that happened that kept the relationship going. So I'm excited to share that. Anyway, all right. So we don't need to go into a ton of detail about every single thing, but I know I picked you up at the airport and I was wearing a fedora and blah, blah, blah. And I saw you
wearing brown.
You were wearing
brown
yellow.
Fedora, brown t-shirt.
Yes.
You were wearing some kind of
like a muscle tee, showing
jeans.
off the,
muscle tee is wild. But I was a fan of how well that t-shirt fit you.
Yes.
I don't think you still have that t-shirt. I think you got rid of
it's gone.
It
got pitted out.
You got what?
Pitted out.
Okay. You still have the hat though.
Do?
Yeah, and I think you still have the shirt you changed into for our evening date.
Do.
But
yes.
Yeah, you had on like some brown tannish Levi's. I think they were Levi's.
They're Levi's, yeah.
And I think you had on boat shoes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this is so funny.
You remember what I was wearing?
I know. I'm just processing how the listeners are processing this, and I'm like, all the ladies are like, oh yeah. And all the guys are like, get it on, get it moving,
get on with it. Anyway, I'm just remembering what.
I know it's great. Yeah. So
go ahead with your recap. Sorry.
No. This is the funny part. So this was the first time where I kind of felt the side eye from a brother of color, because there's like the sky cap guy. When I drove up and I already saw he was kind of like casing you, and so when I get out of the car, like I just saw his expression. I felt the whole thing. Like he's like, how did that guy? How is this little dude getting this girl? Or whatever. I'm sure there's different words he said, but anyway, so that was funny. So anyway, we embraced. And
it was a little awkward.
It was awkward. You stayed up on the curb.
Yeah.
So that was a little
awkward. I thought you were going to come up on the curb and then you didn't. So it was
my head's kind of like.
Your head was like in my neck. It was like neck. Weird.
With the fedora. And so you're like sniffing the feather. Right. So anyway, that was kind of funny. And then we got in the car and yes, it was a little bit awkward. But it wasn't but a mile in before you just reached over and held my hand. She didn't even ask to hold my hand. OMG. Oh my gosh.
The permission was implied. Yes.
But I feel like I would have had to.
Vibe in the car.
I would have had to.
Ask permission?
To hold your hand. Yeah. I would have.
I mean, that's who you are. You would have.
Yeah. I just feel like that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
The guy asks for permission, but you didn't have to.
I didn't ask. I'm sorry.
It was fine. No,
you
it's
forgive
fine.
Me?
I forgive you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt a little compelled, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
Just
I
kidding.
didn't
No,
know
it
there
was
something
very,
to forgive, but
very, very natural. And then we went to this restaurant, terrible barbecue.
oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was really
It
bad.
was like recommended on Google. I guess Google
Right.
was like not what it is now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like it must have been recommended by people who never had barbecue before that don't know what it's supposed to taste like or something.
It was
Because
dry.
it was
brisket.
dry.
Yeah.
The sauce was nasty. You know, when you put some sauce on some brisket or some barbecue, like it got to be. And I'm vegan now, but we were very much meat eaters at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not impressed. I wish I remember the name of that place, but I'm pretty sure we went back like, what was it, 5-6 years later? We went back and it was probably closed.
It wasn't the best. But we sat next to each other. Like we were sitting across, and I scooted around next to you. Like the chemistry, like right off the top, was pretty palpable. It was.
I really
it was a little
wish
scary.
that I could have seen from
scary.
the perspective of the people around us.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was cringy.
yeah. It was tunnel vision, man. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't expecting it to be like that because it was awkward at first, but it didn't take probably 5 minutes before you're holding my hand, and that was the first thing I noticed about our relationship, that it was very different. Obviously the draw, but then the companionable silence. That was different. Companionable silence. You didn't have to say anything, just felt close, even when we're not talking. We can
no obligation to fill the silence
at all. And it's been like that ever since. And also your physical touch recalibrated my whole system. Like, and it's been that way ever since too. Like if I'm like heightened physiology, it's just, we connect physically, just a hug, you come, just touch me, just it's an automatic calming and calibration. So felt that like immediately. So that was crazy. That was interesting.
It's the same. Like,
yeah,
if I'm freaking out or I don't even know what's wrong with me, if you like touch my back or put your hand on my knee, like it's automatically like I feel grounded.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So anyway, not to go into every detail, but just like the highlights, you know, like, and what the experience was. You were pretty touchy-feely.
I'm a touchy-feely person when I like you.
And we went to thrift stores. And
yes.
And you kept on, like, you know, you'd walk by and you'd like run your hand across the top of my back and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, what is going on?
Why are you blushing like this is the first time it's happening?
Yeah, it was great. I was great. I was excited about everything. It was fun, cool. Okay, I'm what is going on? I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you're so cute.
Anyway, yeah, so I did the thrift store stuff. And
because I was really into thrifting at the time.
Right.
I still love thrift stores. I just don't have time to go scouring
Right.
the multiple shelves and all the things
Right.
for hours and hours, which is what I used to do. So, yeah, you planned that date. You planned the whole date.
Was the first night the Bluebird?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's worth telling.
Right. So we
what
did
else
thrift
is worth
stores,
telling?
We went back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to do your recap and then I do a recap, or do you just want to recap?
No, let's just timeline it. Let's keep on going. Yeah.
So yeah, we did the thrift store thing. The thing that stood out to me while we were thrifting, first of all, is the fact that you wanted to go thrifting with me. I was like, what? This is amazing, right? I'm used to like being around guys that don't want to go shopping with a woman, you know, let alone thrifting.
Yeah.
There's just so many taboos in there. And my brothers like thrifting. And so it's just like, oh, that's cool. I've always said that you're all my favorite guys. Just rolled into one person. And shut up. And I literally know what you're thinking.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
What? Wait.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna get through this episode.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. Okay, so
what did you think I was thinking?
Your packaging?
Yes. What about it?
All my favorite guys are black except one of them.
Who's that?
And you have a skin color. Pastor John.
Oh, I was thinking Richard Gere and Justin Timberlake back to that whole thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I didn't know what you were thinking.
We're on the same page, aren't we?
Oh, just like on our first date, apparently. So I was excited that you wanted to go thrifting. I remember the first thrift store we went to. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember going in there and not really being impressed with anything they had, but I was just like excited to be looking around with you. And we kind of split up, so we weren't looking together. But then my favorite Michael Jackson song came on in the store. And
which
is The Way You Make Me Feel.
Ah, yes.
You didn't know that. You forgot.
Yeah.
Go, girl. And you started dancing. And you were like doing Michael Jackson moves in a thrift store.
Yes.
And I was like,
this is something that people don't know. But I'm actually good at Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he does a pretty good Michael Jackson impression.
It's like Opie doing Michael Jackson.
Like Opie doing Michael Jackson. Yes, sure. If Opie was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
And so you were dancing, and I was impressed by that because I was like, first of all, you're dancing. Like, you were dancing with me in the aisle of the thrift store.
Yes.
And I was like, this guy is shameless. I was just so impressed with the fact that you weren't like too cool to do certain things or too cool to make me laugh or the 2-year-old has entered the chat, people.
There we go.
All right. So thrifting was great. We went to like 2 or 3 thrift stores. That was fun. And I still have some of the things that I got from that trip. I couldn't go crazy because there was limited room to bring things back with me. But I think, I loved that portion of the date so much because I just never experienced that before. And then after that, we went back to the hotel to change. I didn't really change my clothes. I just changed my shoes and my purse.
Okay.
Because I flew to Nashville from North Carolina, where I was visiting my titi and my nana because it was my cousin's graduation. So we planned it out where I would be down there for my cousin's graduation and fly from there and then fly back there so that I could travel back with my family. And so my nana is the one who brought me to the airport and picked me up after I got back.
Okay. By the way, everybody, this is Daven. Daven is now on my lap. He's watching YouTube. He wants my water. And so everybody, say hi, everybody.
Say hi. Oh, he has his headphones on.
He has his headphones on, so he can't hear.
You might want to move the mic away from his head.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anyway, we're good.
Isn't he cute, you guys? Oh my gosh, he's the cutest. And he's really attached to both of us, so there's that.
Yes.
Can't be mad about it. You be careful with that, sweets.
Yeah, Papa. Okay. There you go.
He wants to take a drink.
Okay.
He hasn't taken a drink yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's being careful.
Sweet.
Good job, buddy. So yeah, what were you? Oh, it's Daven.
Yes, this is Daven. So anyway, your hair is North Carolina.
Oh, when I got to North Carolina, my hair was curly
Mm-hmm.
because I used to wear my hair in pin curls, and something about the weather, like it just wasn't. It didn't work out. Like, so at the last minute, right before, like the night before, I think I flew to Nashville. I washed it, straightened it.
Okay.
And so that meant that I didn't have to do a ton to it either when we did go change. The reason I brought my Titi up is because I will always raid her closet for shoes. We wear the same size shoe, and she loves purse and shoe combinations. And so I found these wedges and this clutch purse in her closet that matched, and they matched my dress. And so I was like, ooh, I'm taking these with me. And I brought them with me to Nashville. And so when we got to the hotel to change to go to dinner, I changed my shoes and my purse to the wedges and the clutch purse. And I thought I was so cute. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing, okay? I thought I was cute.
You were.
Thank you.
For sure. For sure.
And so you changed into a plaid long sleeve shirt, and we went to the Bluebird.
Yes.
Which
okay.
I was obsessed with the show Nashville at the time. I've always loved country music, which is one of the stereotypes that I kind of destroyed.
Defy.
Yeah. Turns out a lot of Black people like country music.
Yeah. Right.
But it was just not something that you were expecting.
Right.
And I just love country music specifically because I love the way they tell stories.
Right.
I don't think that anybody tells stories better than country music writers, because they can tell the same dang story over and over and over, and it sound different every time.
Right.
I mean, how many times can you talk about the rusty truck and, the beer after work, and you know what I mean? Like, the stuff, they just keep saying the same thing, but it always sounds so good and so relatable. It really just pulls on your emotions. And so I just love the way country music writers write about everyday life. And Nashville was like, they curated some of the best country music writers. Like, they brought some of the best country writers.
You're talking about the show now.
The show.
Right.
They brought some of the best writers in to write the music for the show. And so I don't know. I think that the music is amazing. So I would literally watch every episode, because every episode they would premiere some new music or some new song that they had written just specifically for that episode.
Yeah.
And so one of the locations, that's why I was so excited to go to Nashville. One of the locations in the show that they highlighted all the time was the Bluebird. The Bluebird Cafe. I had never been there. You had, but I had never been there, and I wanted to go so bad. Yeah. So you took me.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to, give the most relevant points, because it was a 2-day experience. Papa, you want to drink that? There you go. Okay. So
he does.
Okay, there you go. So yeah.
Don't touch it.
Okay, I won't touch
Don't touch it.
All right. So
be careful. Careful.
Yeah, so anyway, that Bluebird, so I think that really we can kind of summarize the whole experience with the Bluebird experience.
He's trying to balance it on his lap.
Okay, Papa, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, Papa. You're good. So I think we can encapsulate everything in the Bluebird experience, and then kind of the wrap up, you know what I'm saying? Because that's important, because there's a lot that happened on the first date.
Yes, so much.
But that night we went to the Bluebird, and it was a long line.
There was a parking lot, and it literally reached all the way to the edge of the parking lot to the street.
Yep. Yeah. And so we weren't able to get in. We got to the door, and there's no way to get in. Yeah. And so all we could do is listen from the patio. And so at some point, I can't remember. Again, my mentality was, this is the last date. This is the first and last date. Last time I'm going to see her. And I am very proper when it comes to physical anything. And so I was only going to ever kiss my wife. That was always my mentality. I broke that years before, but it's only because I had been engaged, so I already crossed that line. But regardless, kissing meant a lot to me. And so I don't know when or how, I got this idea that I was gonna, probably gonna kiss you, because this would be the only time I'd see you. What was going on? Super interesting. Why I would even think or feel that. But we went to the back parking lot and could hear the music from the Bluebird faintly, but I decided to play my own music. So it was John Legend's All of Me and then Ed Sheeran Thinking Out Loud, those two songs, and we danced.
Wasn't it Wanted too?
Wanted?
By Hunter Hayes.
Yeah, that was there too.
Yeah, we had like 2 or 3 songs that we have since built a very extensive playlist that has like all the songs on the playlist that remind us of each other, and we still add to it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was literally like 3 songs.
Yeah. So we're dancing in the parking lot. Yes, it's very exciting.
It's so boring, huh?
Okay. And we, we're feeling the magic and the. Did I ask you if I could kiss you?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's because I told you would have to. You don't remember this conversation.
What conversation?
About kissing. We had a whole conversation about kissing.
I don't remember it.
I must have blocked it out. You, yeah, you must have blocked it out. Because I told you that I was not going to kiss you. That's how it kind of started. I was like, I'm not going to kiss you. And you're like, well, what? You're not? And I was like, no, I'm not going to kiss you. And you were like, I said, if you want to kiss me, you're going to have to ask.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just going to assume. And you were like, oh, okay, cool.
I wasn't surprised by that. I was surprised by you saying you're not going to kiss me, which to me meant, because to me, like, to kiss you meant I was going to have to ask you. So what you were saying to me was, even if I ask you, you weren't going to kiss me. but you're saying that I had to ask you to be able to kiss
So wait,
you.
now you remember?
Okay. All right. Wow. This is spicy.
I'm not being spicy. It just sounded like you remembered that.
This is spicy. Everything's spicy. Okay.
Whatever.
Anyway.
So we talked about it, and you were like, okay.
Right.
Fast forward to the parking lot.
And I asked you if I can kiss you.
Uh-huh.
And what did you say?
Obviously, I said yes.
Well, you did ultimately, but you were hesitant at first.
I did hesitate, yes.
Yeah. Because you knew what it would mean.
Yeah.
Because the chemistry was kind of unreal to that point.
Yeah.
And then the kiss it was, I mean, it's really crazy. It's not Hollywood, but it's pretty close. Like just the feelings,
Yeah.
that came with it.
I remember you kissing me, and I was hesitant because I didn't want to unlock anything that, like, I didn't want to, like, I was afraid of what would happen between us physically, like, if we kissed. I was just like, like, no, let's, stay in this safe little bubble over here,
Right.
Plus I had, like, don't kiss on the first date, like, in my head.
Right.
But it wasn't really the first date. It was the first time we were around each other, but we knew each other very well by then.
Mm-hmm.
Or well enough. Definitely better than a lot of people tend to before they do many other things on their dates. Right. But I was hesitant because I was like, I don't know what this is going to do to the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's going to feel. I knew that it was going to be good.
Yeah.
But I was like concerned about how good it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after we kissed, sitting in the car, and I was just kind of shell-shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought that I wasn't happy.
Ah, okay.
You thought I was displeased with what happened.
So I'm like feeling insecure about my kissing?
You were.
What?
You were like, we were in the car. And
okay, I remember this.
You remember? Yeah. And it was quiet because I was just kind of processing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was really great. What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come next. Like I'm just processing. And now that when I process, I'm quiet.
Yeah.
I'm not an outward processor.
Yeah.
So I was processing, but you didn't know that then. You thought that I was upset. So you were like, I'm sorry. Right. You apologized. You're like, I'm sorry. I mean, it's been a while since I kissed anyone. I'll get better. It's gonna be
I did not say this.
You did. You did. You said that you would get better. You could do better. And I was like, what? You don't need to do better. What are you talking about? Like, I was like, I'm not
What?
mad at you. Like, so I remember.
These memories.
I remember we went to Cheesecake Factory
I
because it
do
was
remember
like
Cheesecake Factory.
right
Yep.
down the road, and that was
Mhm.
another thing I was like obsessed with at the time.
Yeah.
I loved Cheesecake
Yes,
Factory.
man, you're making me hungry, and I'm about to publicly declare we are going back to carnivorous lifestyle.
Oh, we are?
I just want brisket. I just really want some
Because we're
brisket.
talking about bad brisket. You want
Yeah,
brisket?
I just would like some brisket or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
You want some pulled pork barbecue?
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so yeah, Cheesecake Factory
Yes.
happens.
Cheesecake Factory.
That was really good.
It was good.
But we're
and-
having this conversation. It's like that kiss unlocked, that whole day unlocked something, and like, okay, so so you can imagine like the dissonance I'm feeling because I'm still like, I'm gonna have to break up. This is so crazy. This is so good. This is so real, and it's way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
This can't be real. I'm gonna have to leave this behind. This is crazy, right? So like that's the conflict that starts playing in my mind. So after Cheesecake Factory, we went back to the suite with the door propped open,
Yes.
and in the living room part of the suite
So
watched
very
Ever After.
proper.
We watched Ever After.
Yes.
But we say proper, yes, but still it was like that was
still borderline.
That was borderline. And so keeping the door open, that was I really wanted that because I just didn't want there to be any overstepping in any way and anybody questioning anything, especially you.
Yeah.
So we had that a good movie experience. You were very comfortable. You fell asleep on my shoulder / in my lap.
slept through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it was my suggestion to watch the dang movie.
Right.
I just had never been comfortable enough to sleep around someone that I'd never spent time with before. You know what I mean? Like I'm very cautious. I'm always on my guard. I'm always like looking over my shoulder, cataloging things, like just because when you grow up in New York and you like, especially if you have to walk through the streets of New York by yourself ever, you know, like I grew up in upstate New York, but I frequently went to the city, and you have to keep your head on a swivel, especially when you're a female. So so I was like absolutely always on my guard. And I didn't do any of that with you. I was just like doo-doo. And I mean it probably was a little crazy. But just being in that place with you and you putting me at ease so much that I only remember watching the first 5 minutes of the movie and the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that is still wild to me.
Yeah.
Like if my daughter came to me and was like, hey, I just met this guy in Germany and now he's flying me to Nashville. I'm going to go. And my family was
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like if my daughter did that, I don't know that I'd be like, oh
Right.
yeah.
Your family had to have been like, what is going on?
Right. I don't know why they trusted me so much, but they did.
Or trusted me.
Or trusted you.
Because I could have been like
I
one of
think
these
it was
like
that they trusted me. You know what I mean?
mhm.
They didn't know you. I mean, they'd met you online or whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't know how. I mean, that was probably just another miracle.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watched that movie. You watched that movie.
Yep.
I had a good nap, and
Yeah. Then that was
the first
That was the
day
first day.
of our first date.
okay. All right. So we got to speed things up.
I know.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah, but that was what was important. So that's the story that's going on, like this conflict inside of me, and I don't know what you were feeling. But the next day we went to the Grand Ole Opry. We had just a nice day, but that was also the last day. And so
Yeah.
toward the end of that afternoon, or toward the end of, I guess it was like early afternoon, it came time for us to reopen the conversation and like to define the relationship. And
DTR.
I don't really remember that conversation, but I do remember that we decided we're going to take a 2-week sabbatical to reassess.
Yeah.
And so that was different because I thought we were breaking up, but now, okay, it's open. You know, we have a 2-week sabbatical. Okay. And I drop you off at the airport, and I just remember losing it. Because I literally thought, this is the last time I'm going to see this girl. And I was a wreck for hours. I called my mom and just talked through things, and which I'm very private about my relationships, you know. But I was really feeling a lot of pain. And so
if you thought it was the end, why did you kiss me? Like, what? It was
because I thought it was the end.
Because you thought it was the end. You was gonna, make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Like, I don't know.
Leave
That
no
was
stones
irrational.
that
was
doesn't make sense.
irrational, but it made sense to my mind. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah. So, what were you feeling when I dropped you off at the airport?
I was sad.
Yeah,
I was
but you didn't
sad.
have the same sad. You didn't think it was over.
Well, because we decided the sabbatical thing, I was like, I do that, and I don't know if it's something it's something that I'm just noticing here recently, where I will postpone my emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I will just not feel until I'm certain that my feelings match the situation.
Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So if it is uncertain, I just prefer not to feel at all until whatever is confirmed. Until the situation is confirmed. Once it's confirmed, then I'm like, okay, now I'm okay to feel however I feel. And for us to decide, okay, we're going to do a 2-week sabbatical, that meant to me that there was a possibility that it wasn't the end. And so I shouldn't be so broken up about it if, I was just sad that it was over, but I knew that I was going to get to talk to you again, even if I didn't get to see you again. So I just chalked it up to that.
Okay. All right. Well, so we're obviously processing things quite differently. So that's the whole thing about this whole first date is we're not on the same page to begin with, and not entirely to end with, although I think we came to a same pageness, realizing that that this was so real that we needed to really pray about this. We needed to really process. And so that was our first of many sabbaticals, 2-week sabbatical. And so this is where it got really interesting for me. During that 2 weeks, I was really praying and fasting, and I went to a national forest parking lot one Saturday afternoon as it was getting close to the end of the sabbatical, and I started writing this song called Baby Ruth.
Oh my.
It's terrible.
I've still never heard this song.
And you're never going to. But it was about Ruth, Boaz, and the whole concept of your God can't be my God can't be your God. So this has to end, type of thing. So it was very emotional. It was a terrible song. Like, I would never release it or anything like that. But it was music therapy for me. And I'm writing this song in the car, and I'm literally preparing like the text, the email, the letter, whatever. Yeah, I think a letter to end this. But I'm just like, I'm so torn about it. And I was like, Lord, if you want this to move forward, I need you to show me something. And while I'm in the car, while I'm there and looking at the forest, who calls me but your mother? Your mom calls me.
My mother. You know what? We've talked about this before, and we didn't know, how did she end up with your phone number? But I think she had your phone number because of the trip to Nashville, and she wanted to be able to contact you if she couldn't contact me. And so she had your number for that reason.
Yeah.
I think that was what it was.
Yeah.
So it's perfect that she had your number.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know that. I didn't know that she called you.
She did. She was
She
listening.
didn't tell me that she called you.
She was listening to the Lord, and she just called to check on me. But that was my little sign. This whole thing about your mom calling.
Yeah,
was
She didn't tell me that she called you, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, really crazy.
You said she was listening to the Lord.
Yeah.
And she does that. That's great.
Yeah, and so because I've been praying. So that gave me the next nudge to continue the relationship. Right? And that was the whole story moving forward, is just nudge after nudge, like Indiana Jones. The light didn't show up until we took the next step, and we never got the full picture. We wanted the full picture, but we never got it, for a long time. And we had to work through so many differences and so many fears and insecurities and all of that. So we'll talk more about that in future episodes. But that was our first date. We were not on the same page, obviously. And for me, I thought we were going to break up, but then the chemistry was so real, and like, we gotta at least give this more of a shot, so let's take a 2-week sabbatical, and then your mom does that thing, and here we are. And it was crazy. It was kind of crazy. Yeah. So wait, what's going on over in your mind?
I found this quote. I found several quotes about first dates and the first date phenomenon and what happens on a first date that is like the first of many, or the first or the last first date.
Okay.
Right. And this one just kind of made me think of what you've been talking about here. Like, it just triggered this in me. It says, in its purest form, dating is auditioning for mating. And auditioning means we may or may not get the part.
I'm still stuck on the
mating.
The mating. I'm sorry. Sorry.
I actually like that quote.
I like it too.
Made me think the auditioning thing is what stood out to me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes. The mating is what stood out to you.
Yeah. Dating is auditioning for mating. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about the fact that you may or may not get the part when you're auditioning. Yeah. Like, I have done so many auditions in my life, and there's like this anxiousness that comes with rehearsing and practicing and dressing the part and still getting a no.
Yeah.
That quote is from Joy Brown. And there's another one that was from Kelly Starling. She said, everybody knows the pressure of a first date. Searching for that perfect outfit, hunting for ways to be engaging, dissecting each detail when it's over to check for mistakes. Dating can make even the most confident person lose his cool. And dang, I am a pretty confident person.
Right.
But I remember getting ready for this date and like, what should I wear on the plane? Because he's gonna, like, the first thing he sees is gonna be, whatever I choose to wear.
Yes.
Which is why I chose to fly in a dress, because I wanted to make sure that the first thing you saw was something that was appealing to you. You know what I mean?
And it was.
And even now, even though that was our last first date, it was still something that we're still dissecting. You know what I mean? And just thinking about every detail and thinking of it that way, and thinking of it kind of like an audition for me as someone who's done a lot of auditions as an actress. It's just been like, man, to think of it that way is so relatable for me, because it's like there was I felt like my audition in some ways was 4.5 years long.
Yeah.
I always felt like there was a possibility that you would drop me.
Right.
Because I didn't ever think about breaking up with you.
Wow.
I just was waiting for you to decide that I didn't fit the bill for what you needed.
Dang.
And so in some ways it felt like that audition was 4.5 years long.
Dang. Wow. Okay.
I was waiting for the call that said you got the part, you know?
Yeah.
And every actor, every actress, everybody in the business that has to go through the harrowing experience of auditions knows what that feels like. Auditions are a necessary evil when it comes to acting, when it comes to the business. But man, they really do something to your nerves.
Amen. Wow. Come on, babe. Way to tie in some great meat. That's wonderful. That's great. I have 3 little things I want to say, like just kind of quick takeaways from the first date experience. Number 1, as in all things, intimacy with God, following his voice, and that principle of line upon line, precept upon precept, taking the next step, and then he makes the next step known. I think that was a lot of how our relationship worked. Number 2, physical boundaries are really important. Don't go too far, too soon, right? I believe there's a reason that God outlines those types of boundaries, because this is how we're designed. And if you create the physical intimacy too soon, the emotional bond becomes enmeshed. It becomes very nuclear, chemical, spiritual, and it becomes much more difficult to break things if you're supposed to, break it off or whatever. You're not supposed to be with that person. And so I'm grateful that we didn't go too far, but I'm also grateful that we were willing to like be in proximity, and we went and took that step, because had we not felt the chemistry, we would not have pursued the relationship further. So that's the third point. One of my good friends' fathers told me about marriage and dating, says you have to have a spark. He said at that time, he'd been married 30 plus years. He says, she still comes in the room and I feel it. There's a spark. And there has to be enough of that spark to keep the hunter coming home. You know what I mean? That's for both, right? So I knew I needed that. And so when I felt that chemistry, when I felt the lack of force and the force of draw, I was like, wow, okay, this is something that I've been waiting for, because I've had to force it in so many other relationships. But that, I'm grateful we had that, because it gave me the nudge to keep on going. And obviously I'm grateful we kept on going. But it was like that, the entire relationship just kept on progressing, one step after another. But those are my 3 little takeaways. So anyway, do you have any other takeaways?
My takeaway from our first date experience, I would have to say, is a scripture verse comes to mind. You probably know verse, chapter, verse, and the book reference.
I mean, try me.
I'm pretty sure you know it. But the verse is, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. If you first delight yourself in the Lord, he will not just give you what you want, he will give you what to want. And then he will manifest what he's planted in you into reality. It takes waiting. It takes patience. It takes trust. But if you want something and you are sure it's from the Lord, wait for it. It will speak and it will not lie. You are the manifestation of prayers that I prayed, of a list that I made with the Lord, and of the patience that I was willing to exercise while you were on your way to find me. I cannot say enough about allowing the Lord to curate your desires. If you let him curate your desires, he'll get rid of anything that's not supposed to be in there. And that will tailor the direction of your prayers, so that you pray what needs to be prayed in order for what needs to be manifested to actually manifest correctly. Because when we pray, a lot of times what we do is we just throw out random things that we want, and we're not even sure that those desires come from the Lord. We don't test them. And we don't really know if that's what we want, you know? And I feel like prayer is kind of like typing into Google what you're searching for,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've said this to a lot of single women. It's like, we'll just go to the prayer search engine and be like, Lord, I want a husband.
Mm.
If you type husband into Google, you
Oof.
are going to get pages and pages and pages of results.
And don't look at the images.
Lord have mercy. Right? If that's how you approach prayer, that's what you're going to get. If you go to the Lord and say, I want a husband, Lord, you know my heart, you know my mind, give me what I want. What you did by just saying husband is you flooded the pipeline of blessings toward you with every eligible man on the planet. Just like when you're searching Google, you've got to be specific about what you're searching for, about what you want, about what you're praying for. The more specific you are, the less results you're going to get. The easier it's going to be to narrow down the results that you get. So maybe you'll get 2, 3, 4 candidates versus 4 billion. And we really just don't understand how prayer works. And so we're just like throwing things out there. But if you delight yourself in the Lord, He curates your desires. He literally takes the things that you want and He shapes them to His will. And when you're in His will, that's the happiest place for you to be.
Yeah.
That's the best place for you to be, is smack dab in the middle of His will. So that's my takeaway. Is like, delight yourself in the Lord, because He will literally give you the desires of your heart.
Yes. Yes. I'm with that. And so I would say, to add on to that, probably the best advice I could give somebody out there who is trying to be married, trying to find the right one, would be to seek the Lord and daily disciple. Get in the Word, pray, so that your desires align with His. And over time, they become one.
Yeah, that's the delight part.
That's the delight. You need to delight yourself in the Lord on a daily basis so that you can trust your desires. Because your desires can also take you off track if you're not discipled. Right. But if you are doing your best to disciple every day and align to the Lord, then you can begin to trust your desires because He gave them to you.
Yeah, desire. Desire, it means of the Father.
Of the Father.
Like it came from Him.
But it depends on what Father you're trying to follow.
Okay. Who's your daddy?
Right. And we're talking about the capital F, Father. Right. So that's why I'm saying that's why your desires can take you in the wrong direction if you're not daily discipling yourself. But if you are, then trust that your desires are His desires. And it's a thing you just learn over time. It's more caught than taught. But you just really learn from the Lord, and you have experience with Him, and your desires become more fine-tuned. So,
amen.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, that's it. First date vibes. It was fun. It was silly. It was deep. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful. Oh, now we're really, really grateful for those of you who have stuck around. If you are at this part of the episode, that means you've been here rocking with us the whole time, and we are so grateful. We want to say thank you. We also want to invite you to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Continue watching, continue rocking with us. Pay attention to the message boards, all the things. Get with us on Instagram. Get with us on TikTok. We are on all the platforms you can be on. X and Threads and all the things. Follow, chop it up with us, connect. We are so about connection, and we really, really love it when you guys reach out to us, talk to us, and comment, and talk to each other. Now, we don't want to leave you without a smile on your face, so, baby, what you got for us?
She's so cute. She's so cute.
Oh my god.
You are. No. By the way, that scripture was Psalm 37:4.
See?
Yeah.
I know you knew.
Yeah. I Googled it. All right. But
that's a surprise to me.
I didn't tell you yet.
Oh boy.
But I Daven's been like wanting a dog. And so I was out the other day and just on the side of the road, like this stray dog, it was like close to this van and it ended up being a blacksmith. It was the weirdest thing. Anyway, so I ended up adopting a dog from a blacksmith. Yeah. As soon as I brought him home, he made a bolt for the door. We love y'all. We love y'all. Y'all be good.
That was horrible.
Check it.
That was not good. I'm laughing because you're laughing.
That's a great
You made a
joke.
bolt for the door. Okay, we love you guys.
We'll see you
Thanks so
guys.
much for rocking with us. See you in the next episode. Peace.
It's better with us two.